welcome to the second episode of Brew'S with Brianna. Today I have a special guest, my mother. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm her mother. My name's Darlene. We live out in the country here in North Carolina.
You don't have to say all that. Just introduce yourself. So the second episode was supposed to be my older brother talking about his journey thus far being a single father and his feelings on the stereotypes of minorities, especially minority men, being single fathers and taking care of their children. But that's not happening today for different reasons. So I have my mother instead. And if you've seen my abortion video, if you have not, it is on the channel. It's like 2 videos back in response to the Roe versus Wade verdict that happened a couple of weeks ago. This is going to be a different side of things. My mother, when she was pregnant with me, was also single. Well, I wasn't single, but she was kind of with somebody, kind of not, and but she was alone, and she had actually like made an appointment to get an abortion, but she decided not to go through with it. She decided to keep me. So I just wanted her to share her side of that story. And it doesn't have to, I don't know how great into detail you want to go or what you want to share, what you don't want to share, but just kind of like the opposite of what I decided to do and what made her decide to keep me and be a mother, even though the person she was kind of with wasn't really in the picture. So I will let her take it away from here.
Well, now over 30 years ago, with that decision having to be made, I was single in the Air Force. I was living my best life. I went in when I was 20. I got pregnant with Bree when I was 28. So I had about 7-8 years of just taking care of me, taking care of my Air Force responsibilities, and having fun in the meanwhile. And when I became pregnant with Brianna, I was actually in school, an Air Force directed school. I was in a class, I think we were doing another hazardous material class, not exciting material, but I had done this 3 or 4 times before, so I knew what to expect. I knew what what's going to happen in the class. So I pretty much was pretty things were like a routine. It was like a routine. I knew exactly what would happen, and so I felt like my attention was not all about being in this class. The class was, at the time, predominantly white, and it was probably 2 or 3 of us as African Americans in there. So as I remember looking around the classroom, my eyes fell upon this, I thought, good-looking brother who was in the class, and I just made it my point to get his attention. So he was pretty quiet, pretty standoffish. I would say something to him a little bit here and there while we were in class. Didn't get a very big, overwhelming response from him. So the class was about 2 weeks long. So when it was about to finish, I think I did invite him out, like to the park for the day or that weekend. I know we were in the park, and I know it was a weekend. And we did meet up and we did talk. For some unknown reason, he found it very hard to believe that I was single and that, there was nobody waiting for me. I guess he thought I was just looking for a one night stand or something like that. His whole point of view was he did not believe that I was single. And so in his ultimate test to see if I was single, this was going to be the Labor Day weekend. We were finishing right before the Labor Day weekend. And he says, well, if you are single and there's nobody waiting on you, why don't you come back with me to California? I am single. It is a holiday weekend, which means I had an extra day off in the Air Force. I am stationed at Dyess Air Force Base, the Dust Bowl of the Air Force. It's not a great place for a young person to be. I mean, to me, some people enjoyed it. It sucked for me. This guy that I'm attracted to is challenging me to go back to California with him, and I said, yeah, I can, no problem, cool.
Looking back on that now, because it sounds like manipulation.
Really?
Because it just sounds like game, like a tactic. But I don't know, I'm just, do you feel that way at all? Maybe not at the time, but like looking back on that, just him.
And I still don't. I think he honestly just thought I would back down and not go.
Okay.
So I ended up going. We ended up going out there. Stayed at his place. We had a nice apartment. Took me out. We had dinner. We went out. I think we went to a club. I can't remember. Long story short, we ended up sleeping together and leaving with. He felt good about me. I felt good about him, and came back to Texas after that weekend. Don't know how long it was. It was not probably within the next month or so. I found out that I was pregnant, and I was like, didn't mean for that to happen, because I really liked this guy. I really did. I didn't want him to think I was trying to entrap him, because that was never on the agenda. But I ended up pregnant. I told him, he was not happy about it. He thought it was entrapment also. It was just one of those things, one of those situations. Looking back on it now, I wish I hadn't gone just because of the consequences of my actions. It wasn't because I don't think I was manipulated. I just think I could have made a better decision. But things were the way they went. I was pregnant at this point. Mind you, I was in the Air Force. I had stable income, place to live, access to medical care. Pretty much the only bad thing about it at this point was the stigma of not being married and having a child, and me giving up my single lifestyle. That was only two negatives that I faced. And I was young. 28 is not that young, but I was young in my thinking, because the first thing I thought was, I'm not ready to be a mother. I have this good thing going. I don't want to stop being single. I don't want to start raising a family. That's not what I want to do right now. And that prompted me to seek out facilities where I could have an abortion. And I found the facilities. I made the appointment. It was in Dallas, so I was about 3 hours away from this facility. I had heard about the demonstrations that were going on at abortion clinics, though I never really experienced that as far as this facility went. I think I was probably just a little over a month when I made the appointment, and the appointment was maybe a month out. So I had time to sit down and think about this thing, and went over back and forth in my head.
Did you tell anybody when
No.
you found out?
Just the
Or did-
father.
So when you decided to keep me is when you told people that you were pregnant.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Like I said, went back and forth with the decision to do or not to do, to keep it or not to keep it, and
What did my father say?
and I've got a warm fuzzy that he wanted children or nothing like that. He wasn't excited about it or anything. He had been going through some, if I remember correctly, some issues of his own with a person out there in California. And I think he was just getting out of that, and he didn't want another situation to deal with. He just didn't want to deal with me at all. Not on those terms. But I remember he didn't cut off contact altogether. We could still talk on the phone. I think had I not gotten pregnant so quick and so fast, it may have been a chance for us to develop a relationship. At this point now, it was very complicated, not a very smooth situation. So since it was so complicated, I just decided to concentrate on whether this was right for me and not include anybody in my decision, just if it was right for me. Came to the conclusion, knew I had medical care, knew I had an income to support this child, knew it's not the way I wanted to bring a child in the world, but I could do it. I basically had the resources to make this happen. So I made the decision to keep her. And as she was growing inside of me and I was getting things ready for her, I come to realize the realization I was sick of my own self. I was sick of being single. I was sick of me, and so I had somebody else now to focus on. And so it opened up a brand new chapter of my life. And I think it was a good decision for me. At that time in my life, I think it was a really good decision, the best decision I could have made. And so here we are, 30 years later.
Right. Were you scared at all?
Petrified at first, because I'm like, I can't be pregnant. I've taken these birth control pills and I've done this for the last 7 years. I don't know about bringing in a child by myself into this world. That wasn't my background. That wasn't how my mother raised us, because my dad and my mother were always together, and that's what was really scary, and that's why I didn't tell nobody, because I didn't want to disappoint her. So yeah, I just put my big girl panties on and I made it happen.
So given that situation, what you went through, and I'm sure the initial months of everything weren't, sunshine and rainbows, and there was a lot to work through, a lot to figure out how you were going to do things, how you're going to split time with my father, if that was ever like a question or anything. But given all that you went through, and then being present for my abortion, and I can't remember if you really, because I just know I was in the room. I don't know if you really saw anything, but I know it was just very audible. You could hear everything. What were your initial,
Hearing what?
just like all the throwing up and all the stuff? What was, I mean, your reaction to that, seeing how you didn't experience it, and then also just me being pregnant at a time that was not good for anybody, like literally anybody. Like it was just a really weird space for a lot of people trying to figure out a lot of things and dealing with a lot of death in the world, losing jobs and things. And
But when you told me, I got weak in the knees. I had to sit down. I knew something was up when the look on your face when you said I had something to tell you. I was like, okay, but that was the last thing I expected. And when you told me, I got weak in the knees, and I had to sit down there on the edge of the couch, and I was blank. I think for a minute I just went blank. I didn't know exactly how to feel. I knew I was saying in my head, I can't be critical because that would be just totally hypocritical, because I've been in this place. I've experienced this myself. I kind of felt like, were we experiencing a generational curse? Did I pass this on to you? I felt like deja vu. It was a lot of emotions going on. And then my rational, analytical mind kicked in. I'm like, okay, how are we going to handle this? What are we going to do? What's the best course of action? And I think I asked you, how'd you feel, and what were your thoughts, and what did you think, or try to get your side of things? And I think we just went back and forth, and because of the situation with your guy, because of the pandemic, because you were home here with me, because you were not working, and I wasn't in a position to support you. I felt things were very, I just looked at it black and white, can we afford to keep this child and raise this child? And the answer for me was no. And that was me being very matter of fact, and keeping it simple, and not complicating the total picture, and making a very tough decision.
just backstory. I was in China teaching English, and I came back in 2019, July of 2019, and the plan was to stay home for a year and help my mother and my younger brother out. And I had no intentions of dating anybody. I had no intentions of getting pregnant. I had no intentions of any of that. I was just like in like something when I was in China, and I had like no intentions of like talking to any other guy or doing any other thing. But that January of 2020, I met someone, a coworker, and things just literally just happened. And then the pandemic happened, and then I was working 2 jobs at the time, and both of those jobs laid me off, obvious reasons. And then I was just here in my mom's house, like nothing going on, nothing was happening, and then finding out that I was pregnant. And we were working through some things of our own, and she still to this day has not met the guy that I got pregnant by. She didn't want to. Um, so it was that to deal with as well. So I just wanted to provide that little piece because I think there was a lot for her to digest because I was always gone for a period of time, just working, and then I just show up one day and I'm like, I'm pregnant, and I'm not sure, you know, if that's what you thought was going on, or
I just know when you came back, you had both these jobs that were an hour away from home, if not farther. And you were on the road, going up and down the road just all the time, just all the time. And I was like, how long can you sustain that, you know? And I didn't see where you had time to even get involved with anybody. And then to tell me that you were pregnant, I was floored. I was just floored.
when I decided not to have the baby, well, there was a period like when you were talking about once you felt me growing inside of you, like once like I had felt that too. Like my hormones had kicked in like super early or whatever, and I was just like hungry, all the like insatiable hunger, like and just tired, and um, I was going back and forth because once you know your body's changing and you feel it, it's a different thing. It's not an easy like yes no whatever. I don't think it ever is, but um, I went back and forth on that a lot, and what I finally decided not to. And it wasn't for your reasons how you said. Were you ready to give up single life or what you have been doing, whatever? I simply like I can't support this child. Nobody, like I said, I didn't feel at the time like basically I just had different reasons from you for why I made my choice, and it was just simply because I could not support the child, and I didn't feel like I had a place to support the child, had if I did want to, anyways. Um, but given what's been going on in the country with Roe versus Wade and the overturning of that, what are your feelings on that?
Um, I'm certainly glad we were in a space where we had a choice. I'm certainly glad you had the opportunity to do what you did. I mean, not an easy choice, not an easy decision, but just to have the leniency to go in either direction. I mean, I never thought we'd be living in a time frame where there was not a choice what a woman could do with her body, you know? I never lived in a time where I remember when Roe versus Wade was decided upon. I think I was either preteen or maybe a little younger, and it was decided upon before my body even changed into that of a woman. So when I came into womanhood, that was always an option, a choice, um, something that was left up to me. Um, I thought I would never live in a time frame where it wasn't. You couldn't decide. Um, this is unprecedented. Um, I don't think if you had not had the choice, if you had to have the baby, I'm not sure what it would look like right now.
It was literally just 2 years ago, so
I don't think things would be as I was saying. I don't think we should ever live in a time period from today on that a woman doesn't have a right to have a choice. There is no going back. I mean, I don't know how conservatives, Republicans, whomever, pro-lifers, whomever would really believe in their core that someone else should choose the fate. For me, I just don't think someone should choose the fate of a woman's pregnancy. There's can be one person involved, or at the most two, but that's it. There is only the people involved in the pregnancy that should decide the fate of a pregnancy. And that's all I have.
All right. Well, we will leave it there. Again, this is my mom's story. Hope you guys enjoyed it. The series is meant to be informative, to spread awareness, and to provide perspective. So, thank you, and I hope you look forward to episode 3.